Hello everyone. Are you done? Hello everyone, it's me, Patri, and today I've got my boyfriend,
Connor,
with me, and we're gonna talk about this book and the movie. Say the name.
The Devil All the Time.
Bye.
Donald Ray Pollock.
Okay, so fair warning, this video will contain spoilers because we're going to be directly comparing the movie and the book and scenes, characters, plot, just a lot of things. You can't even see the book. Okay, just a lot of things, so just beware.
Yeah, but at this point, everyone's read this book.
Watched it.
And if not, everyone's watched the movie on Netflix.
Yeah, so here are our thoughts. This book is about
murder
in a small town.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, it's like, it's very violent. I guess at its core it's a drama, but it's full of violence and small town woes.
I can't remember where I heard this, but someone said it's a book full of evil people. Some people are less evil than other.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a pretty accurate description of it.
I've heard comparisons, Donald Ray Pollock, I think there might be one on the back of this book, of comparing him to Cormac McCarthy. I've sat on this book for like, what, we read it 2 months ago, 6 weeks ago?
Yeah,
and I don't know if that rings true still to me. I think he's definitely his own author with his own style. I guess we'll start with our rating. What did you give the book?
I forgot.
I think I gave it somewhere between 3.5 and 4 stars. I think
Same.
maybe right when I finished it I gave it 4 stars, so it hasn't had that like I guess lasting impact that I thought it would, and it's turned out to be more of a, I would recommend this book as more so like a fun page turner. You could read it in a day.
If you're into the kind of spooky vibes, but it's not necessarily spooky.
It's just violent.
It's just violent. If you want to read something that's dark and violent and kind of like overly dark, but moves fast.
Yeah. I said 3.5, 4 stars. What'd you give it?
Same. So I round up on Goodreads, so it says 4 stars, but I'd say it's about a 3.5 to 4 for me as well. Just because I was left feeling like I wanted a little bit more, but we'll get into that. And yeah, here, I'll read the synopsis real quick so you guys have a better idea of what it's about. Or do you want to read it? I feel like you read better than I did.
Yeah. In the backwoods of Ohio, Willard Russell's wife is at death's door, no matter how much he drinks, prays, or sacrifices animals at his prayer log. Meanwhile, his son Arvin is growing up from a kid bullied at school into a man who knows when to take action. Around them swirls a nefarious cast of characters, a demented team of serial killers, a spider-eating creature, and a corrupt local sheriff, all braided into a riveting narrative of the grittiest American grain. That's it. We're gonna go through the movie and the book. We're gonna talk about plot, and then we're gonna talk about characters, themes, the mood and the tone, and then we're just gonna have some concluding thoughts. So let's start with the plot. What did the movie do differently than the book, and where did each succeed and fail?
I think the author had a view of where he wanted his book to go, and he built it up in a certain way where it just worked really well. I feel like there's a lot of things we didn't necessarily see coming. Not that there were plot twists, but the story just progressed in a way that you weren't clear what was going to happen, and I think the author did a good job at that. So I'm trying to build up to kind of like what the movie did. The movie reconstructed the timeline and kind of put some things that happened towards the end at the beginning, and then I think it was meant to give off a feeling where once you're done watching the movie you can kind of piece together the pieces. But does that make sense?
Get
what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying, but like there were small things that they changed around. Like I think she's bringing up the death of the character Roy. The character Roy, plot wise, he didn't really serve as much of a purpose in the movie, other than to just move the plot forward at its core.
And then,
but I feel that as far as plot goes, this is where the movie and the book are honestly the most similar, because there's scenes and situations that are almost like they're pretty identical. The movie leaves things out, but what it includes is pretty much the exact same as it happened in the book.
Yeah, kind of, because I feel like there were parts that were missing. I think we saw a little bit more of the pastor
We saw more of everyone in
Then-
the book, and this is my big.
No, we saw more of the pastor in the movie than other characters, is what I was trying to say there.
Yeah.
So, I think, okay, the book had a very slow build plot, and it led to something. I think the movie was trying to be too fast-paced, too Tarantino, too kind of like
Yeah,
something different.
I get that, and this is the problem that both share, I think, when it comes to plot and the story that's being told. The movie's already long, but both could be longer. Like, I wanted to spend more time in this world, and I wanted to get to know the story better than I did when I finished the book. And that's not to say the plot given isn't super good, it's just that I wanted more. Like, I wanted more details, I wanted more little things. I think the book, it's like
It
less than...
ended too fast for
Yeah,
me
it's
too.
one of the shortest books I've read this year, and I think this book, it's like 200 something pages. It could be a 500 page book, and I would have no problem with it.
Yeah, it's 300
I could-
pages, but I agree. I
could-
needed like 100 pages more.
Yeah, like little things, like Arvin's relationship with his grandparents. There's more plot
Just
that
everything,
could be.
Arvin. I
yeah.
think this leads us into our next conversation
So,
with characters.
Our next thing, yeah, we don't want to spend too much time on each thing, so into characters now, starting with Arvin.
Okay, Arvin, I think we can both say we loved him as a character on the book. Obviously, I love Tommy Holland, and he did play a good Arvin, but I still, same thing with the movie and both the book, I really wanted to see more of Arvin. He was the character I was reading this book for. I didn't care about Carl or Sandy as much as we spent time on them, if that makes sense. I really, really wanted to know more about Arvin because the whole story starts with Arvin and it ends with Arvin, but there's so much Arvin we're missing throughout
Yeah,
the entirety of the book.
there is. So sticking to comparing the movie and the book, and not getting too distracted, I think the movie did, as far as all the characters, Tom Holland did the most justice to the character of Arvin.
Yeah.
We both agree on that. I think there's more to talk about when we move into these other characters, like Carl, I think, was one of the most interesting characters of the book, and I think the movie really failed.
Did him poorly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in the book, you hate Carl. The book makes you hate Carl, but makes you want to...
He has charisma in the movie that's not present in
Yeah,
the book.
he's very macho in the book, in the movie, I mean. It's very macho, very almost confident. But if you read the book, Carl is a very
He's very
insecure,
secluded.
gross, more gross
yeah.
than they ever portrayed him as in the book.
That was the big problem with, I think all the casting was great throughout the film, but like Robert Pattinson as the preacher, like at the end of the day, he did a great job as an actor, but there was something missing, and this is like West Virginia in the 1930s or what is it, 50s? No, yeah, 50s or 60s. It's before the Vietnam War. 50s or 60s, West Virginia. Like, this is like gritty country. This is
40s.
the backwoods. And like, to see this, I know he's supposed to have this glamorous personality as a character, but to see Robert Pattinson playing him kind of took me out of it. It just felt a little too Hollywood, a little too Netflix for me.
I liked him playing him. It wasn't who I envisioned throughout the book, but my problem was that the movie focused a lot on Robert Pattinson's character and that plot line, and I don't think that was the main focus of the book at all. And they kind of surrounded the whole story.
And the
throughout
fact that it's
this.
Robert
and
Pattinson
he came
almost
later in the
distracts
book.
you.
Yeah, I agree.
Next one, Lenora. Both the book and the movie don't do enough with the character of Lenora, so that when the big thing happens, her killing herself, it leaves like you wanting. It sounds weird. Her killing herself leaves you wanting more, but it does.
It does. It does.
You needed to have like both.
You just started knowing her character in the book.
You don't know her at all. I can't say
Yeah.
one thing about Lenora other than what she does
started
for the
sleeping
plot.
with a preacher. Yeah.
What she does for the plot, I could tell you, but her as a character, there's so much missing in the book, and likewise the movie.
Overall in the movie, I think I was expecting something more disturbing when it came to the movie, because the book itself was pretty disturbing, the violence and just kind of how you really get to see the evil side of people, and I think the movie kind of went over that completely. I
think that they thought that showing these like violent scenes itself would do it justice, would be enough, but There's a little bit missing.
Yeah, we needed more character development. So where I'm going with this is, I don't think the movie did that. Like, I didn't have this big wow moment at the end of the movie the way you do kind of with the book, where it's like, oh my god, this is actually happening.
I like agree and disagree. I get that, like, you can't make a movie that's like 3.5 hours, especially when the book's only 200 something pages. So it does take a good filmmaker to look at this book that is already short and make like a really good film out of it. And I think it comes down to knowing what to leave out and what to keep in.
I have one more thing to say though.
Okay.
About the plot overall. I'm gonna start talking and immediately remember. Oh, this is something we agreed on. The movie doesn't trust the watcher at all, the viewer.
Oh, we didn't talk about that.
I know. I kept
the voiceover, the annoying voiceover, is so annoying.
And like, I thought the voiceover could have been cool at certain parts, but it was a lot. It was almost like a kid's story.
It was too off. Every 10 minutes you have this like.
Instead of showing us what is happening, they're literally reading stuff out of the book. And honestly, they change stuff from the book too. The narrator changes it to fit into this narrated story, and we never find out who the narrator is either. It just doesn't trust the viewer at all to piece together. That's what I was saying.
It reminded me of what you said earlier. Like, the movie kind of wanted to be like a Tarantino movie, and Tarantino uses his narrative voiceover thing, and he does it well in my opinion. And this movie like kind of added it almost for no reason. And then of course it's like a super like hyper violent movie, and it seemed almost like you could tell what they were trying to do. And
also, what about the sheriff? All the scenes with the sheriffs that never happened in the book,
I don't know,
and then added no plot to the movie except just like violence appeal. I really didn't understand what they were doing with that.
It was trying to add more violence, but it's almost like it takes away from these other super violent scenes when you're adding stuff in there that's violent, that doesn't even need to be there. It's just like kind of washing out the stuff that's already violent and the impact that it has on the viewer.
Yeah. And I think by the movie explaining so much without actually showing it, one, you're not trusting the viewer, I said that, but two, it's kind of what I was saying earlier, it really doesn't give you that satisfaction at the end when you realize how certain things ended up happening together, like all world type of thing connecting. You just didn't get that from the movie.
But I think like what you're saying, the small world type thing, I think the book didn't really capture it all the way. I think the book needed to be longer.
Yeah.
Like,
I think at the end it needed to be longer, but I thought everything else was pretty good when it comes to kind of like connecting the pieces together.
The mood and the tone. This book, like, look at the cover, pull it up again. It's dark.
This is what the book feels like, this cover.
It's a gritty, it's southern, it's Appalachia, southern Ohio. I think
it's cold, it's dark,
the book,
short days.
It does create a certain vibe.
Atmosphere.
If you will. Yeah, an atmosphere, a mood, author's tone and whatnot. And when it comes to the movie, as we were just talking about, I feel like they missed it a little bit as far as the mood. When you're trying to be a Tarantino movie, you're gonna fail in being a Pollock adaptation. Yeah,
I completely agree with that. The movie had a lot of bright colors, and that's something I will give the movie. The cinematography was beautiful. The music was amazing. Soundtrack, shots, colors, those were all very beautiful, but they didn't fit with this book.
They looked like Netflix made it almost to an extent. Like it
Which
looked,
they did, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, Netflix did make it, but I'm not saying it in a good way. I'm saying that like it looked almost overproduced. There was like so many Hollywood actors. It was like the saturation was turned up.
Which was beautiful. It was pleasing to the eye. But I think that's all the movie cared about, the looks of the movie.
The editing was like, I don't know, crisp and cut short, and then the violence was very stylized, like Tarantino. So yeah, when it comes to tone and mood, they missed it a little bit. And I'm a big atmosphere person when it comes to movies and reading and stuff. And I feel like if you miss out on the mood, that then you're missing out. Like, I would rather them change the plot than change the tone of the book.
I agree.
If you can change the plot to make it work for a movie, but still hold on to the tone, to the like spiritual core of what the book is, then you're gonna be fine. But they kind of miss both. They change plot elements, and then by messing around with the mood and the tone, that it just changed everything.
Yeah, this movie makes it seem a lot lighter than it is. Like when you're reading this book, and we had to stop after 80 something pages. Even though we wanted to keep reading, we had to stop. We were like, oh, that's pretty dark, and then you kind of keep going after.
The prayer log. The prayer log is a huge part of the book, especially for the whole first
half.
The first like half and like almost, and like the prayer log in my mind, I'm thinking of this like, and you know, like Appalachia itself is super green, so it makes sense like why the film wanted to like capitalize on that with its like beautiful shots and stuff. But when it comes to how I imagined this like dark part of the wood with the prayer log and the animal corpses hanging all around it and the blood, it's like, what did the movie, they put like no effort into creating that. It's like, it was like just green. Like I should not remember my mental image better than the movie once I've seen the movie, and I have completely forgotten what the movie did with the prayer log, and all I have is that like grisly dark image that I had in my own mind when I was reading the book.
My thing, kind of going hand in hand with that, I didn't want to watch the movie because of the prayer log. I was too scared that I was going to be really graphic, remember? Like when I read it, I was fine. Before reading the book, I thought it was going to be way scarier than it was, and it wasn't. Again, it was just violent. It really wasn't scary. But I thought this violence in a movie would make me really anxious, and I was really almost terrified to watch the movie. And I just thought that scene was going to be really graphic. You know, all the dead animals, their corpses, the blood, and just like a dark, stinky place.
I love
And then we didn't see any of that.
Though.
Yeah, he loves scary movies.
She doesn't like anything that raises her heartbeat in the slightest bit, whereas I live for that. I turn on horror movies all the time, and I love that.
And if even I was disappointed,
I was looking forward to this movie and all, like I was looking forward to all of this movie, and I felt a little bit let down in how dark and grisly it was. I think
and as we said, I'm a scaredy cat, and I wanted that darkness, that scary feeling, and just missed it. Yeah, let's conclude. What's your star rating
of the
for
movie?
The movie?
Yeah. For the movie. But so this is the thing. We just maybe like almost it's still a decent movie. I think it's still worth watching. It's like if you've read the book, watch the movie. It's definitely worth it. It's far from the worst adaptation I've ever seen, but it's like, and honestly, it's a decent adaptation. Like they could have messed it up a lot more.
He's a little bit more like he's a little bit nicer with the movie. He did really good with the shots, the scenes themselves. But knowing that I had read this book, I don't think it compares.
It's good. You get to watch those actors do their thing, but
I think if you didn't know about the book, you would like the movie more.
And if you never watched the movie, you'll probably like. Honestly, if I never watched the movie, I would probably have a better. Like I said, in the past couple months, my rating of this book has gone down a little bit because it didn't leave that lasting impact that I maybe thought it would. And if I didn't watch the movie, maybe it would have that impact still. Maybe it would still be like a 4-star instead of a 3.5.
Yeah.
As far as the movie, I'd give it like 2.5 stars. Like it's,
I was gonna say 2.5 stars for me.
It's decent
because of the actors.
It's never a movie that like if I'm trying to like. I separated the book from the movie when I gave it its rating, so if I'm judging this as just a movie, you're trying to get you're entertained and you want something to turn on at night, it's like it's a decent movie, and it's better than a lot of stuff that's on Netflix. Yeah, we did kind of just talk very poorly about this movie, but by no means don't let us dictate what you do. If you've been wanting to watch it and you've been excited about it, go ahead, do it. It was still really fun to watch it and kind of like be able to pick it apart because we have read it. And the book was good. It's better than the movie. All right.
That's our conclusion.
Peace out.